Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. So we're doing an updated video on the best poisoners in the game for Clan Boss. I did this one about 3 months ago, but things have moved on. So I wanted to update this for everybody that is kind of new to the channel or just wants a general update on what's going on with the Clan Boss, how to get the best out of your poisoners. Now, before I go into the detail here, just overlay this with your own brain. So what I'm saying here is, if we're just talking about poison and I don't understand the rest of your composition, I'm giving you some really valuable information to say, this is why they're good, this is why they're not so good, and you can then piece that together with the champions that you've got to build your best possible team. All I'm doing is sharing information and giving you reasons as to how do I pick a champion that's going to do poison damage for me. Also bear in mind, guys, that poison is still the best way of doing damage to the Clan Boss, pretty much right up to super endgame. So probably the top, 500 players in this game will think poison is a good source of damage, but I've got champions that can equal the damage I do in poison just by doing crazy hits, and they've all got insane gear. I can build a team like that, but I will probably still have a poisoner in my lineup. But for probably 99.5% of people that play this game, this video is going to be really important because poison will be the absolute best way for you to do damage to the Clan Boss. So let's get into it then. Let's talk about the rares first. Now I've got one standout uncommon at the top of this list, that's Outlaw Monk. The rest of this list is all rares. I'm just going to talk you through my thinking here. Yeah. So what do I look for in a poisoner? I look at base defense. So how easily can I keep that champion alive? Think about poison as your damage source. Forget every other damage source for a minute. How do you do the most damage when you're trying to do poison? You want to lay your debuffs, so you need accuracy. You want to be relatively quick, so you can rotate those debuffs as much as you can onto the Clan Boss. And you want to stay alive, so you need defense. 3 things: accuracy, speed, defense. If you tick those things off, your poisoners will do damage, okay? If you want to know the levels that you need for each of those different areas, get into my Discord. There's a whole area called Clan Boss Information. You can go into there and you'll see broken down different areas, like you need accuracy, I need for normal, accuracy I need for nightmare, whatever, yeah? So we've got defense level. I then look at what other utility can that poisoner bring. How much damage would they do if they went into a full Clan Boss rotation without a counter-attacker? And by a full rotation, I mean first AoE hit, second AoE hit, and then single target slam. That's one rotation. What's their poison potential with a counter-attacker thrown into the mix? What damage cap do they have? So what's their damage potential based on having a counter-attacker in the team? So think about that. This damage potential is based on that column there that says poison in full CB rotation with counter-attacker. I could give people some numbers on the one without a counter-attacker, or you can just work it out. All I'm doing is multiplying the amount of times they land a poison by the percentage of poison they're hitting with by the number of turns, and that gives me a number. And then it's a number that I can scale up or back. So you need to think to yourself, if I'm not running a counter-attacker but I'm running a speed team and I've got an ally attack, then you do a similar sort of calculation there, and then you start to work out, then other champions start to kind of come up the order. I can't do a piece of work that builds it based on every single person's composition because everyone's different. I then look at what's the rank before they're booked, how easy are they to book, and what's their rank after they're booked. What sort of potential can they do in terms of Clan Boss? How high can they actually go? And then I give them an overall score based on all of those things. So the things to call out on this sheet then, which are different from what I've shown before, are Frozen Banshee's come in and she is rocking the poison world. I've done a video on her already. You should check that video out. But this just kind of absolutely cements my thinking that she is an insane poisoner within this game. She has come in at a whopping 33 points. Again, what I'm not saying here is she's the best poisoner in the game. What I'm saying is, based on a set of criteria, she looks insanely good. Now you might say to me, well, hold on a minute, I've got 100 legendary books sitting in my vault and therefore I don't care about the book score. Fine, delete the book score out of your working. You might also say, Well, I do have a counter-attacker, so I want to forget the poison damage without counter-attack. Fine, delete it. But just think to yourself, what is important to you with your composition, and look at the various columns to factor those in for you. So Frozen Banshee comes in a whopping score, 33 points. I've got Grave Chill in there as well. She's actually come in as the second best rare in the game, ahead of Kale. It's pretty close, but just ahead of Kale. Slightly higher damage potential, decent similar level of defense, brings a bit more utility, so she's got that decreased defense. That's the main difference between them, but still super viable for Nightmare Clan Boss. The thing with Grave Chill is she dramatically improves if she's got a Frozen Banshee in the lineup. I've not counted that into her numbers here, because if I've got a Frozen Banshee in the lineup, I don't think I need another Poisoner. So why would you run the two of them together? I don't think that you would. But if you did, Grave Chill, bear in mind, would get a higher score because actually should do more damage. So that's the rares. Call outs, obviously Frozen Banshee. Kale as a starter champion is fantastic. Again, check out my guide if you want to look at what he does. And Grave Chill. If we then go on to epics. So epics, this has actually changed a fair amount since I did my first version of this video. Mainly because I've added Jane in. Jane has come in and has had a buff since I did my last video. Jane is Erin for anyone who doesn't know. I couldn't say her name initially, so I just gave her a bit of a nickname. Marksman also got a buff since I did my last video. And also I realised I'd made some mistakes on the Occult Brawler damage potential with a counter-attacker, because he actually doesn't lay his passive when he's doing a counter-attack, and I thought that he did. So you can see here, again, all of the different scoring for each champion. So I guess I'm going to call out the champions that I want to say a few words about. So Juliana, in this situation, scores 18 points. Now, I did some runs with Juliana when I was doing a me versus Stu Gaming battle. And again, check it out if you've not seen it, because they're really interesting to see some of these epic champions get used. But she came in and was a really good champion for speed runs. Now, she falls down when there's a counter-attacker in the mix, because actually you want to start to bring the speed down and stop her doing all that extra turn meter stuff. And you also benefit more from someone who's got a poison on their A1 if you've got a counter-attacker. So her poison damage is the same whether there's a counter-attacker in the mix or not. So for that reason, she actually downs her score quite a lot. But if you're early to mid-game and you don't have a counter-attacker, then Juliana actually would go above some of these scores quite significantly. She'd actually probably be second on this list, behind only Occult Brawler in the epics category. So bear that in mind. It's all about your composition, yeah? So even without the boosted damage from counter-attack, she still scores a damage potential of 50, versus Steel Skull, Occult Brawler, Jane, Marksman. They all need a counter-attacker to hit those type of numbers. So it gives you an idea. So yeah, one of the reasons why Jane does so well here is because she actually brings that debuff extend, which extends her own poison but would also extend other buffs. That gives her an extra couple of points. So she brings a bit of utility. Occult Brawler absolutely outshines all of these for damage, but he doesn't really bring any other utility, and he's got a low base defense, which means he's very difficult to keep alive. But he can go right through to Ultra Nightmare, and he kicks out a ton of damage if you gear him properly. But to gear him properly, he literally needs Defense Ring, Defense Amulet, ideally Defense Banner, and you get accuracy somewhere else. Then let's talk about Steel Skull. Steel Skull is such a valuable champion, not because of his damage output, because of his utility. If you're only going to run with one Poisoner, he actually comes down, we'll see at the end in terms of damage potential, he comes like mid-order, but his utility brings him right up, because he's got heals, he's got increased defense, he's got a big single target heal and cleanse. There's a load of other stuff going on with Steel Skull, but if you just want a damage out and out Poisoner, he's actually not as strong as most of the people on this list. Okay, what he becomes is a great secondary Poisoner. If you've got two in your lineup, he's brilliant as the secondary one. So let's move on to legendaries then. So legendaries, the list has not really changed since I did it last time. I guess a couple of call outs here. So Tomb Lord scores low compared to the other legendaries. Again, situational. If you've got a Vizier, Tomb Lord's score would go right up, because you could extend all of those poison debuffs. He also brings decreased attack, decreased defense. So he's actually got brilliant clan boss utility. But if he doesn't have someone extending those debuffs, they just don't last long enough. So his damage potential comes right back. His damage potential here is 20, which is one of the lowest scores. He also badly needs books, unless, again, you're running a Vizier or perhaps a Warlord. But Vizier really is the one that you need. So he comes in quite a low score. Nephril comes in high. If you were able to turn off his A2 and A3, he would absolutely top the damage charts. If you're somebody that runs Clan Boss on manual, he will top the damage charts. However, I think over 75% of people run it on auto. So I based all of these numbers on auto, and he does not top the charts on auto because he does his A3 as a preference and his A2 as a preference before he comes back to his A1. And his A1 on Clan Boss is where all of his damage is. So bear that in mind. If you want to run an Nephril, run him on manual and you will get fantastic results. Run him on auto and you will get subpar results. He also dramatically increases his output of damage if you run him with a counter-attacker. So, again, these numbers are based on counter-attack. If you don't have a counter-attacker, then actually his numbers are pretty similar to a Draco's or, some of the other guys we've already looked at. Another one to call out here is Xavier. Xavier is a very strong champion, but she's extremely poor run on auto. So if you're not running her on manual, then I would forget her on your lineup. I'd rather go for a Kale than a Xavier. Venus tops the charts in terms of score because she just brings so much goddamn utility. Decreased defense, weaken, HP burn. She's a void champion. She's got buttloads of poison. Like, she is insane as a champion. I don't have her. I wish I did have her. Draco is just kind of like, so close to her ability, but he doesn't quite bring the same sort of level of utility, so he drops just a couple of points behind her. So wrap all that up then, and we've got two things to show you left here. We've got a tier list just based on those total scores that I've just shown you. So, Venus tops the charts, as we just spoke about. Frozen Banshee comes in second place. A rare comes in second place based on all of that information I've just shared with you. In terms of overall rating. Draco then comes in, Steel Skull, Occult Brawler, Nephril, Bad El, Xavier, and then we got this kind of grouping of, 7 champions within 2 points of each other. So ranging from 18 points up to 20, you've got Juliana, Kale, Tomb Lord, Aethar, Marksman, Grave Chill, and Jane, all within 2 points of each other. So it just kind of shows that middle order, they've all got their own strengths, and you just kind of need to make decisions based on your roster and the way you set up in terms of which ones you want to use. But they're all pretty similar damage output. So, if you had all of those champions, but you've only really got rare books, then perhaps you'd pick your Kale and just build your Kale up. If books are not an issue for you, then perhaps you'd go for Jane or Marksman. So, just to bear it in mind. If we then look at the next one, this is about damage potential. So when I throw all of these champions in with a counter-attacker, who will kick out the most damage for me in a fight? Frozen Banshee tops the chart, neck and neck with Occult Brawler. Nephril then comes down in below that. Then we get a Venus. Then we get Draco and Jane. So Jane's actually got really high damage potential, but she relies on a counter-attacker to do a lot of her work. If she's not with a counter-attacker, she drops way down. She drops below Kale. So bear that in mind as well. And obviously you can see the rest. It then goes Marksman, Steel Skull, Xavier, Aethar. Juliana drops down from there. Juliana would fly back up if we were doing a speed team. So, again, bear it in mind. Grave Shield, Kale, Outlaw Monk. And then, in the bottom four, you've got Tomb Lord and Bad El. That's because they are not your damage potential. If you're running Bad El as your poisoner, you will not do a lot of damage. If you're running Bad El but you're pairing him with debuff extender and a secondary poisoner like a Steel Skull, the two of them together will do fantastic work. But Bad El alone is not in there for your poison damage. He's in there for utility and overall kind of team makeup. So again, just get it into your head. Bad El does not mean definitely goes in as your poisoner. Only goes in if you've got room for him. And if you've got room for him, fantastic. He's a brilliant champion. Okay, so that is the best poisons. What I'm going to do now is just run through a couple of runs. I'm going to show you within the same composition, Frozen Banshee, Occult Brawler, and Nephril, my top three scorers on full auto, and then you'll see what I mean. Okay, here we go. So we're going to go for the test. The test is going to consist of the same champions in the kind of support roles, and then those main poisons that we just looked at in the main roles. So what have we got? We've got a Skull Crusher in the mix for our counter attack, 171 speed, nearly 5k defense, very high, crazy crit rate, too much, and good crit damage. He's basically just in there as a counter attacker for the test. We're then going to be running with a Sandlash Survivor lead, so everyone's going to be in lifesteal gear, a 185 speed, 100% crit rate, all good stats, just in there as a lead to take that stun for me. We are going to be running, so that's 2. We've got our decreased attack champion in Coffin Smasher coming up with the big moves. I should probably push him into lifesteal gear as well. I'm just going to do that actually. Okay, just had a little play around with Coffin Smasher. So we've got him sitting at 3.5k defense, 184 speed, 200 accuracy, so he's good to go. So we've got Coffin Smasher, decreased attack. We have got Marked as our decreased defense champion, who's also got this block debuffs and increased defense on her kit as well. So she is in lifesteal gear. She has got 2.9k defense, 173, 202. She's a bit low in defense, but she's not too bad all in all. Showed you the counter attacker, so that's 3. Showed you Sand Lashed, which is 4. And then the 5th spot's always going to be the Poisoner. So first we're going to run Frozen Banshee, show you her setup. She's got 179 speed, 227 on the accuracy, 3.6k defense, 44k HP, and okay on the other stats. So how I've done it, we've got her big defense chest with good speed roll, defense chest, defense chest, HP boots, just kind of decent stats on the shield. And then I was just looking for enough speed really to make up the speed I wanted. Good HP roll here as well. And then we've got defense, accuracy. The Occult Brawler, very similar sort of setup. Goes defense gear, speed boots. Oh, he's running way too fast actually. I'm going to change that as well. Okay, so we changed his setup, pushed him into defense boots. So we've actually now got him in defense gloves, defense chest, defense boots, which is about as good as you're going to get on a Occult Brawler. I've got him in a defense ring, a defense amulet, and an accuracy banner. So we've been able to get his speed to 175, 3.7k defense is very strong, 214 accuracy is not bad, 40k HP. So he is in good shape for this challenge. So what we're going to do then, we're going to get ourselves into Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss. And because of the lovely free gift Plarium gave us, we've actually got 3 keys to use anyway, which is cool. So let's select then our main setup. So what we're going to do is we're going to have Sand Lashed as our lead, taking the stuns. We're going to have our decreased attack champion in position 2 so that he goes before any of our poisoners. We need decreased attack to be on all the time. We then have a decreased defense champion to go next, which is Marked. Again, we want that decreased defense on as much as we can get it. We're then going to throw in our poisoner, so we're going to start with Occult Brawler. Maybe I'll start with, we'll start Occult Brawler and then we'll go on to our counter attack champion. This is going to be the setup. I'm going to play it through manual for the first set of waves just because of the way my Skull Crusher is built. So he's not built to go full auto from the start. See, I'm behind everybody here. And yeah, she's actually not great for this team comp. I don't have any buffs, I don't think. We can get our HP burn up straight away. If it landed, it didn't. Occult Brawler's then going to start doing his thing, laying his poisons. We're going to get a decreased defense on wave 2, and then we're not going to use counter attack yet. We're going to wait until the first slam happens. Here we go then. So we're going to go again A1 here, A1 here. Got a decreased attack up, that's nice. Keep these poisons rolling in with Occult Brawler. Then we're going to do our block debuffs, increased defense with Marked. That's why she's in the team. Then we're going to get our counter attack on. No, we're not. Don't do it. Then we're going to get our A1 off here. And now we're kind of set up to roll through the fight. So Sand Lashed here will just increase those buffs with her ability. And then I'm literally going to press auto from here. I'm going to do the same setup on both sets. And yeah, I'm just thinking actually it's not ideal. So the setup I've done here probably isn't ideal because Occult Brawler is actually going to get debuff block, which doesn't help his damage. Albeit we're seeing how much damage he does as a poisoner, not as a hitter, and that's not really going to affect him. So I think we're fine with that. If anything, the least often he does his A2, the better for in terms of damage you're going to do on an auto run. So I'll let this run through and I'll show you the overall results. So just coming on to 7 minutes 40, Occult Brawler's been the first one to go down. Went down at about 7:30 or so. Just very difficult to keep alive. You saw his stats. His stats were good, and we got good champions around alongside him to keep people alive. So there's nothing wrong with the setup there. He's just difficult to keep alive. So we're coming up to the end of the fight. It's been a good fight, to be fair. We've had debuffs up for most of it. You know, Sandlashed and Skull Crusher have both done their jobs to keep people alive. Marked has done her job to keep the defense up as much as possible. So it's literally just come down to base stats not strong enough to keep him going any more than he was. And obviously the poisons have all dropped off, so we don't have a debuff extender like a Vizier going here. It's literally a case of once they're gone, they're gone. So yeah, I'd be interested to see. It's actually quite a decent time for an Ultra Nightmare run, to be fair. Considering we're running with, what's this, 2 rares and 3 epics. Still going. Sandlash just putting in some work just to top off the damage. Skull Crusher last man standing, of course. Excellent champion. Down he goes with 110k hits. 15.78 million. Decent damage. So Occult Brawler has done just a touch under 7 million damage in this team setup. So let's run it then with Occult Brawler out. In comes Mrs. Frozen Banshee. Let's see how she does. Let's do it. As I say, I'm going to do the same setup here. So we're going to go with the same setup in terms of our champions. A1 here. We're going to go for the HP burn if we can land it. Did this time. We're going to go with poison sensitivity with our girl. Lands that. That's nice. A1 here, decreased defense. Don't want the counter attack to go yet. A1 again. A1 this time to get the decreased attack on. Didn't land that time. We're going to start putting poisons on. Got 2 off there. That's good. 100% chance to do that if the accuracy is high enough. We're then going to get our block debuffs up. That's what I was worried about actually. Last time we got it extended for 2 turns. We haven't got it this time, but I think it's fine because he's going to get stunned up. I did go on him anyway. Okay. I thought he was going to get stunned up there, but it wouldn't matter because for the first time he'll come out of his stun and still be able to do his abilities. So from here we can just press auto again and away we go. So interesting, in this run we didn't last for as long. Marked went down quite early. She did a really small amount of damage as well. I'm not sure if she's got the right masteries on. Anyway, but Frozen Banshee comes in at 9.9 million. The run is 18 million and it lasted, what, a minute less? So, I mean, it just shows you that the debuff bar was just full the whole time. The whole time. She is actually even more effective than my charts give her credit for. She blows him away. 50% more damage within the same team setup. Insane. So lastly, I'm going to throw Nephril into the mix. I just need to check Nephril's setup and then we're going to put him in. Okay, so here's the Nephril then. So Nephril has got 3.8k defense, 181 speed, 231 accuracy, 35k HP. So it's a very good build again. Let's make sure he's got the right masteries. Yeah, it's all good. So yeah, he's got defense, defense, defense on all his items. He has got defense, crit damage here. I'd probably prefer if that was defense actually. Don't have one good to go, but I'm going to throw this one on him because it's probably better anyway. Yeah, I'm going to do that. HP one. And then accuracy on his banner. So again, he's good to go. He's at the right sort of speeds. So let's throw him in as the last tester. This will be the top 3 damage dealers from my rankings in the test. And let's see how he does. I'll do exactly the same setup again. Get it off of auto. Get off auto. Yeah. So we're going to do the same setup again as I've done with the other champs. Making sure that I don't do anything too crazy. If I could just make this guy do A1s the whole time, he would do the most damage, hands down, no problems. No questions asked. Don't want to make any mistakes here. So what did we do? We did A1, A1, A1. See all these poisons ticking in already. That's good. Another one there. We just did A3 there. And A1. And then we can hit our auto button and away we go. Again, I'll show you how we get on. You see here now he starts doing all these silly moves. If he didn't do those silly moves, he would be insanely good. But as it is, he's pretty good. We'll see. So we're coming to the end of this one. Coming up for 8 minutes, just under 8 minutes. It's actually been a good run. The poisons have been stacking up well. What we've done here, it's 15.58, so very similar to the Occult Brawler run. Really similar stats. 7.7 million on the Nephril. So actually Nephril and Occult Brawler are pretty much neck and neck. With Frozen Banshee kind of staying out there as the #1 poisoner in the game. Guys, all I'm doing is doing runs. They are the facts. If you've got yourself a Frozen Banshee, you've got basically the best poisoner in the game. If you're literally just looking for out and out poison damage capability in this game on auto. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Comment below, what do you think? Anything I've missed? Any champions that weren't in my list that should have been? Anyone that you think actually I've just rated them completely wrong? Throw me some detail below and I'll try and resolve it. Otherwise, I've been Hell Hades. Check it out.